WNST, Tassel, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. We are positively into the Maryland Crab Cake Tour. It's presented by the Maryland Lottery. I'm going to be letting myself play. We're going to be beginning on March 4th. Back on the road again, as they say, like Willie Nelson. We're going to be at Mama's on the Half Shell down in Canton, starting the tour in the city, moving it around the county, all over the place. And at some point, I'm going to get Dennis Koulatsos. It won't be on President's Day. Off of that, off the Security Boulevard strip over there, and get him in for a proper crab cake. Maybe I'll bring you to El Guapo later in the month over in Catonsville, 2 exits away. Dan, how you doing, man? How was the weekend?
Weekend was phenomenal, Nestor. We sold lots and lots of vehicles, so keeps everybody happy and cranking. So met a lot of our friends and neighbors that visited us, and that's about it. Had a nice weekend.
Yeah, you have like a weird body clock around holidays and stuff because you sell cars for a living. And I remember a couple summers ago, especially during the early parts of the plague, you went and got a fishing rod. You talked about your golf addiction and how you broke it on the air with me. I'm moving into this new space, having moved to the county now. I took pictures of cardinals today, outside flitting around. My cat's having a good time. So I've had a little bit of I don't want to say change of life, but change of environment. The thing that Luke and I have gotten on this week, and by the way, your conversation with the Ravens recap with him last week on your show was so fantastic. I'm running it this week because these are the issues that we're talking about with football. But with baseball, like not existing, people said to me over the weekend, NASCAR was on. Juwan Howard's punching guys on the court and all that. Yeah. And you know what I'm doing, man? I'm plotting the Maryland Crab Cake Tour. Literally, this is what I'm listening to a lot of John Mayer because he's in town this week, and I sort of dig his new album, Sob Rock. It's excellent. So I just get a little blues music, and I've literally just been doing a lot of writing and working. I'm going to debut a blog. I'm going to start writing again because it's my first. It's what I do. But so I'm trying to plan all of this. But baseball disappearing on me at this point has opened up this whole new sort of lane where, like, you got a fishing rod, and I don't know what they're doing. But I know what they're doing, and this would be where you and I come into the middle of this. The Paul McCartney thing on Friday. It's unbelievable how shameless they can be to shut the season down. John rolls in on a Zoom call. This is the front of their business. They have a team spokesperson who's their chief revenue officer he turns to the bird to put a 22 jersey up. That's Jim Palmer's jersey that says McCartney. And then they throw the tickets on sale for $500. And they say, well, maybe we'll play baseball. And here's John for his cohorts to ask if you, and then you go to the website. This is the craziest thing, Dan, because you and I got into it Thursday. I did your show before the announcement sort of happened. And then I spent the afternoon on Thursday because I'm a creepy reporter. I needed to get the date because I just wanted to scoop everybody. I wanted to say I got it first because you know that about me, right? I used to piss the Ravens off getting the schedule every year, right? Well, I used to text it with Coons Ford Security Boulevard. So you know all about it. Okay, so you know how down and dirty I could be as a reporter when it comes to, like, I would have probably been a pretty good cop, pretty good investigator, probably decent lawyer if I cared about such things. So Thursday I started calling around. I threw out to the internet to 100,000 people that might have ears on LinkedIn or on anywhere on social media. And I reached to my 3 resources. I said to my wife, do you think she'll know? Do you think he'll know? He'll probably know. And I reached out to a couple of people. I got 2. I used to work there. I don't know anybody there anymore. I got a couple of those. And then finally, I got a deep throat. So I went to sleep at 9 o'clock on Thursday night. I fell asleep early. And my text must have gone off at before 10 o'clock. So if I had been awake, I said to Luke, I would have texted the date. I would have texted out 10 o'clock at night, no problem. But I woke up at 3 in the morning and I got the date and it said JUN 12. And I'm like, does that mean June or July? Could it have been a typo? So I went to the Orioles website at 3 o'clock in the morning. And Dennis, it would be like if I came out to Coons Ford right now and you soaped up the windows. You know what I mean? Just put the crepe paper up like they did in the mall when the candy store went out of business. They have no frontage on their website. and they're holding press conferences with the mayor with the bird over Paul McCartney when I'm guessing their primary business is baseball. Like I'm just saying that was my experience with the Orioles on Friday. And by the way, I scooped it. I got it first. I put it out on the internet at 5:20 in the morning. And I'm proud of myself, even though nobody cared. But yeah, I mean, it's my own thing. Yeah. But the Orioles, man, like what is going on, man?
It's just not the Orioles, Ness. It's Major League Baseball, and you would think these are smart people running these leagues, right? The major leagues and the owners have some semblance of intelligence out there, but
they don't have a grown-up, right? They don't have an uncle. They don't have a wise uncle. They just have lawyers, literally, right? That's what it is.
You can't get to this point of a lockout. You have a soft deadline and you have a hard deadline before the deadline. But my point is, you never get to the deadline. You negotiate it, right? And you figure it out because you have so much at stake, beginning with the fans, right? Fan recognition, appreciation, the people that really care, the people that really pay the bills, right? Your paying customers. So you're going to take the brand off the field. You're not going to have baseball when you have hockey and basketball and football dominating the news left and right. We just had the NBA.
Football doesn't have to play. That's the amazing thing. Oh. The amazing thing is there's going to be this fight next week with the agents in Indianapolis and the combine. And then there's going to be DeCosta signing a guy or not. Calais Campbell's doing this. Aaron Rodgers is doing that. Russell Wilson. Who needs a Michigan Wisconsin basketball game when you can do that and go see John Mayer and get a fishing pole? You know what I mean? Literally.
Oh, absolutely. But the NFL used to be a soap opera for men. Now it's a soap opera for men, women, teenagers, children. It's 365 days a year. The league is relevant more so than any other league every day of the year. There's something. That's why you have sites like ProFootballTalk.com, et cetera, and ESPN has their own NFL. Everybody's got their own NFL page because there's so much NFL news. And with that in mind, baseball would dream of having a presence like that. And they really could.
But instead, they got Paul McCartney coming, and their windows are soaped up. Listen, I encourage anyone in my audience, go to the Orioles website, go to Major League Baseball's website, and just see you're their customer. And this is the word was juvenile. I think Luke, you said juvenile, and I'm like, the fight over the money. Say whatever you want about the wealth and the will and the power and the structure and the lawyers and I got to get mine and how big the pie is and all of that, right? But then there's just the humanity side of you're running a business. What is your business? And if your best idea across the board is to soap up your windows on your website and go la 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 la, there is no lockout. The word lockout is not used anywhere in the vernacular. It's not allowed to be used on the major. I mean, it's Putinesque. It's not in touch with reality. You know what I mean? Like I can suspend reality to go to a Disney thing or do a ride at Universal in Hollywood or whatever. But this shouldn't be the WWE. We're just going to take a timeout. You all go over there and we'll be here and we'll be here waiting whenever we have opening day. Dennis, my friend at the Chaucer, my dear friend Brian, I went in to get some wings the other night up in Highlandtown. I know you know it well. He said that a friend of his has come to him and said, we want to do a bus for opening day. He's like, I've done a bus for opening day for 30 years. He loves the Orioles. You know, people get on the, he's like, so let me get this straight. I'm going to front money to buy tickets for a game that may not exist. I'm going to have to call bus companies, give them a deposit, go to customers, go to the people that sit at my bar and say, give me $100, whatever it is, right? You got to be kidding me. I mean, like that just bleeds down to Highlandtown in the same. Now, I guess if you're a season ticket holder and you're one of the people out there that still values your ticket or your gold club or your silver plan or whatever, orange plan or whatever it is, you'll just sit around and you're what they're counting on, right? They're counting on you're coming back. The minute we unsoap the windows, you'll be there ready to pay to see Adley Rutschman play or whatever, right? And that's the way it's always been for baseball. So they have a level of arrogance that, quite frankly, the Kuntz family and the Aparicio family and the Koulatsos family cannot afford to work at.
Ness, I read something a long time ago, and they said if you're running a hospital, if you're the CEO of a hospital, if you want happy patients, you better have happy nurses. So to me, whether it's Coons or WNST or the Chaucer Inn or the Baltimore Orioles or Major League Baseball, your obligation is to have happy players and happy customers. You want both. You don't want either one disgruntled at any time. If you're great business, you want to be 100% with your players and 100% with your customers. And to think that they get to this point of lockout, especially given to what they've been through in the past, historically speaking, and what it's cost them, how it's diminished the sport, how they haven't fully ever rebounded from the last lockout, you would think they would learn those lessons and not repeat those same mistakes. But here we are, Ness, 2022, and the players are locked out once again. It's unfathomable that all these lawyers, all these brain power, and the owners and the players can't get together for the greater good of the community and figure this thing out. I mean, I don't even know how they got to this point.
Well, and look, man, you and I have made like some fun the last couple of years about how awful they've been, and we don't go to the games, and you've gone fishing, and I'm eating crab cakes and learning about Antietam and enjoying time with my wife after she's almost died twice. So I value things differently, and giving away my bobblehead collection to Goodwill and just in general feeling differently about it. That doesn't mean that I don't want to love it, that I don't want to be there, that I don't want it to be relevant. And it doesn't have to be like Eddie Murray or like Cal Ripken or like Davey Johnson or like Brooks Robinson or Frank Robinson or Luis Aparicio or Bob Turley. It doesn't need to be like anything else. It just needs to be good. When I come out and buy a car I'm not getting a 77 Ford Mustang. I'm getting a new car, right? But part of the history brings me in, and part of it is I'm not getting the same experience. I'm not getting the Philco radio, and I'm getting a different experience. And I don't mind that the kids want to drink beer and it's $18 and it's out on a deck and you don't have a box seat. I do mind that the game's boring. I do mind that you're shoving gambling down my throat. I do mind that I was brought up on provincialism and I was rooting for the city, still am. And and it's become something completely different. And I don't talk about it. I mean, because all I do is bitch, right? I mean, Moeller's like, oh, you're talking about baseball. All I do is bitch. All they do is lose, and nobody goes. So what do you? I'm not their PR team. You know what I mean? But then there comes a point where football ends, and my body clock, last name Aparicio, building a sports radio station primarily around baseball in the beginning. I mean, baseball started my career. There was no football here. This is shameful. I mean, I don't know what else to say that we sit here on February 21st, where quite frankly, you as my client and longtime friend, you and I should be down in Sarasota right now going to a baseball game today, elbow bumping some players at the bar tonight, going deep sea fishing tomorrow out on the Gulf Coast, watching another game, driving down to Port Charlotte where my mother-in-law is, going up to Bradenton and seeing the Pirate. We should be spending a 5-day trip to Florida the way they promised the Sarasota Visitors Bureau. Like, this is what we should be doing. It's what they should aspire for us to do. And instead, I'm in the 30th consecutive year of getting my eyes spit in, and then they hold press conferences, don't invite me, put the mayor up, and then John satellites in the middle of a lockout to pat himself on the back for this is amazing. Mueller sending me texts like, oh, the Orioles, they're getting it now. Oh, my God, they're doing alternate program. They're really getting it. I'm like, Jimmy Buffett's been playing baseball stadiums for 20 years. Billy Joel's been playing baseball stadiums for 20 years. Springsteen's been playing baseball stadiums for 20 years. Like, they've been doing this at Wrigley and Fenway and everywhere. Billy Joel was playing Yankee Stadium, the old Yankee Stadium. They shut down the old Shea Stadium 20 years ago. I haven't heard Shea Stadium in 20. And they're playing. They play concerts. So Stockholm Syndrome for the people that are wound into it. It's unbelievable because they think I am evil for pointing out these obvious. They've got the windows of their building soaked up right now, Dennis. It's amazing.
Well, they had Garth Brooks supposed to play there last year. I had my tickets and he canceled it because of COVID, right? So I was looking forward to going to see Garth Brooks, Nestor. But you know what? The
Garth was playing the
vacuum,
football stadium.
he was the football stadium.
Right.
Yeah, not that Camden Yards. You're right about that.
Well,
But
you know, they compete now, right? I mean, that's the dirty little secret is Bruce Springsteen can't play them both. It's one or the
that's
other.
right.
And
That's
he's
right.
not going to play Baltimore and Washington. So you're
That's
competing with
right.
Nats Park, right? So the bottom line is McCartney played Nats Park a couple years ago. Now he's playing Baltimore. I mean, he played Hershey. I went up to Hershey with Luke, and Luke's mother was there, and Luke's sister and brother. We all went to the McCartney show together, you know?
But my point is, vacuums get filled, whether if you're filling it with music, concerts, fishing, etc. We were without professional football nets for 13 years, and guess what? We found other things to do. We found other teams to root for. Maybe it was not the same intensity as we used to root for the Baltimore Colts. So whether we followed the Oilers or the Raiders or whomever at that point, we did find other things to do. And this spring and summer, if there is no baseball, guess what? We will find people find other things to do, and sometimes they latch onto those things, and that's where baseball loses fans. And they're at a point in time where they can't afford to shrink their product any more than they already have before they become completely irrelevant, particularly in a town like Baltimore.
You say reach for other things. You mean like a lacrosse stick, maybe?
Lacrosse stick. I mean, there's lacrosse. I mean, that's the nice thing about Maryland. You have lacrosse, you have softball, you have fishing, you have all kind of great things that you can do. A lot of great restaurants. I mean, my goodness, every week now I'm discovering a restaurant I've never been to before. So you grow in other ways, right? You find things to do with your family and friends, and there's more to life than professional sports. And we do love them, but when they make themselves irrelevant, when you can't go see them, what kind of outcome would one expect? It's not a positive outcome for the organization. So if I'm an owner, there's no way in hell I would let it to get to this point. I would have a big voice, and we'd have to figure it out one way or another for the greater good of the community, which is something that's lost upon the league and the players, which is really sad.
Well, you know, I would just say this to you because you're one of those people that have stayed by my side and through what, you know, I've been through, not just with my wife, but transitioning to say, I'm not just going to talk about sports because sports doesn't care about me. And there's going to come a point like there was in the baseball strike back in 1994. I had a whole change of life during that baseball strike because I was very concerned that there wasn't going to be any baseball, and baseball's all we had, right? So the strike was the daily conversation. And I remember John Dow and George Acton at Budweiser, Winter Distributing, over in the neighborhood I grew up. They're like, kid, they're going to come back and play. We're going to stay with you. Just hang through and all that. Then, me moving my brand and not just talking about sports for you and Royal Farms and, Wise Markets and all these people that support me, Planet Fitness and all the restaurants and all that. I can't imagine if my childhood heart, in the 1990s, and how emotional I was about baseball being taken away, and Mr. Angelos is going to fight with those other owners, and he's going to play with Cal Ripken, and Cal Ripken ain't going to break his streak. Mr. Angelos, he's looking out for the fans. And that was 30 years ago. Nasty Nestor on the radio, and thinking of creating something for sports that would be a lifetime. And then you see the plague, you see the NBA commissioner say, we're not going to have you reporter types around our players anymore. When for 2 years I haven't been around a player, and that the NFL now, the NFL brought out 7 players after the Super Bowl for the 1,500 people that flew in from the meet. 7 players came in. 3 of them spoke at the same time. They had Cup, Stafford and Donald speak at the same time. So if you're there, you couldn't even process it or ask questions. So the reporting part of it's gone, all that. I would just say in the middle of this, where we're not sure if they're going to play baseball, and we're really not sure that anybody cares if they do or don't, that, it really has added validity to me moving my life a little bit into fishing and crab cakes and culture and politics and what's going on and education and arts and a John Mayer concert or a Donna Summer musical, Broadway musical. Or, by the way, you got restaurants, crab cake tours coming back. Anywhere that I need to know about? You want to fill me in on it or no?
I'll text you. I'll text you about some of the hidden gems. But to your point, Nessa, I had a listener couple of years ago text messaged me to stay in my lane because I made a political comment. And I said to him, look, if you think that sports and selling cars are the 2 things that define me, you don't know who I am. It's not who I am. There's a lot. I would like to think I have a lot more layers as a human being than just a sports guy or a car guy. There's a business guy, and I also have a heart and soul, and all these other things that any normal human being has. So for people to tell you to stay in your lane, you don't even know how many lanes I have. So
But
that's
then
really
it's the lane for me, and this is what I've learned, and this is amazing, that had I stayed in that lane, I was just at the Super Bowl. I saw everybody who stayed in that lane, right? Like all my colleagues that are there. The lane now is here's gambling, be a gambling expert.
yeah,
That's the
yeah.
lane for anybody in the sports space who's going to opine on the radio, on a podcast, on a web. That's the lane, and it's just the lane I've never gambled on sports. I've picked winners and stuff, and I'm going to do that. Fantasy is just something I'm just not interested in. It's like NASCAR. It's a facet of the game I'm not interested in. But the
No,
parts that I am interested in, I want to accentuate and talk about and
yeah,
explore.
no, I did fantasy football this year for the first time in a decade, and it really helped me keep track of injuries around the league. That was about it, and I had fun doing it. And when it comes to gambling, my advice to people is don't do it. I mean, I'm not a gambling expert. I can care less about spreads. I can give you an opinion, but to me, I don't suggest people. If you're going to gamble, when I go to Atlantic City once or twice a year, I put $100 on black or red, and that's it. That's the extent of. I'm going to win 100 or lose 100, and and to me, that's as much money as I'm going to spend at a casino. I might
Yeah,
take
I like
20
playing blackjack. I'm more than craps. Craps is okay, and it's whatever.
But you have a
like,
limit though. But you have a limit, right? You have a limit. Whether it's $20 or $100, whatever you're going to spend, but there's a limit. And my limit is a very low limit. So that way I don't feel it. I don't get addicted to it. I'm not going to go hit the ATM multiple times. Whatever cash I have in my pocket, that's what I'm going to gamble. But that's my gambling advice. So I can't tell anybody about parlays and what to do here. I'm the wrong person for that, Ness. I really am.
Well, and it used to be about knowing the history of sport, trying to add some color to it as a columnist, which is what I was always sort of on the side of saying, what's the truth? What's the team saying? What's the coach saying? What's the player saying? What's really happening here? What's the business behind this? Follow the money, right? So like all of that was the structure that I went in to create WNST, and the way I talked about it, because we lost our football team in 1984. I was 15. I had to ask questions. We had to steal a team to get it back. There was a baseball strike when I was 13 and then 17 and then 23. I'm at the newspaper. I just see this at a different level. And then when I bring it back down to stay in my lane and stay to sports. My God, they don't even play. They're not even playing baseball again. And all these years into this, they've learned less. They've really sort of cheapened even the history of all of it, going back to the Brooks Robinsons and all that, because it's all gone. It's evaporated now. Now they have to create something. And what they were creating last week was a Paul McCartney concert. It's amazing. Dan, I'm looking forward to joining you on Thursday. Tell everybody what's going on, because it's President's Day. And a lot of people buy cars this time of year, right? I mean, there's no secret in that. Spring has sprung.
Spring is sprung. President's Day always signals the start of the spring selling season, Nestor, and we have more inventory than anybody else in the region. And we had a fantastic weekend of sales, and going to continue it through the rest of the month. 0% financing still available from Ford Motor Credit. And we got the best inventory. Our customers tell us they're driving from many states to get to us. They know what we have. We know they know that we price our vehicles to sell, new or used, and they're taking advantage of the savings and all the WNST, the great advertising, all the referrals that we get. It's really a blessing to be in the business that I'm in.
Hey, Dan, is it getting better on inventory? I mean, all of you car dealers were screaming last summer, like, "Hey, man, it went from a trickle, right?" Is there any thought that it's picking up? I mean, I remember when you said, "Hey, your used car is worth more than it's ever been worth." Does that still hold 3-4 months later?
The used car market has softened a little bit, but not much. And new car market, they're still experiencing delays in shipping. The chip shortage is still there. They just blocked the big bridge between the U.S. and Canada. They've opened that up again, but that also put them back another week. So the news we hear out of Detroit right now, Nestor, are not good in terms of us getting more inventory in the next few months. Maybe the second half of the year gets better, but at least through summer, I don't expect inventory levels to rise at all for any new car manufacturer.
All right. Well, I'm going to come over, see you. I have the Warren Moon autograph. This time of year, there's no gold watermelon to bring you. So
Hey, you know what? That you talk about things to look forward to, and I think people need things to look forward to. So that's one of my little things. Someone to love, something to look forward to, something to do, and something to believe in. That's Lou Holtz's four big things to look forward and look forward to. Something is a big one.
You know how the computer listens to everything I say? Probably the show, because I talk into the computer to do the show. But you get these little recommendations. And I woke up this morning and it was how to grow a perfect tomato. And I'm like,
Ah,
how do they know?
hey, there's a country song. There's only two things that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes.
Well, a little water, a little sunlight, the right
There you go.
soil. We're
There
going to
you
figure it
go.
all out. Dennis Koulatsos is here. He's got the right soil over on Security Boulevard. Go see him at Coons Baltimore Ford. Of course, our tech service brought to you by Coons Baltimore Ford. And as Luke said, things could be happening with the Bradley Bosemans or the Calais Campbells or the who knows what's. So we're going to be all over that as we don't stick to sports. We still do it better than anybody else. I am Nestor. He's Dennis. We are WNST AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore positive.